The following is a fan-based discussion. All properties discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, Hasbro, and Samurai Productions.
Hello everybody and welcome to another Tokucast Reviews. Marcus has been looking forward to this for a long time.
I have been!
Ow.
Also, I realized that the other review we should have done that I think I'm going to save until next year's Pride Month. Fucking say that, man.
That's a lot.
We'll talk about...
That is a lot.
I've already seen it. I've seen it twice, but...
That is a
Are we talking the
lot.
anime or the live-action movie or just one of the movies?
Oh, there's a live action movie?
There is a live action
There is.
show. But this time, episode 115...
Happy Pride!
Yes, there's the whole reason we're talking about this show.
Because it's the gayest thing that Marcus has ever seen that falls under the Toku category.
Well, it just is. But we're talking about Samurai Flamenco today.
And I know what you're thinking. An anime on Tokucast?
No, it wouldn't be the
If
first
you would like
time.
us to do more of these, let us know in the comments below. Because
Also-
God knows we have a lot to talk about with anime.
Also, it wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, the Love Girl.
And the Ultraman one.
Those barely count because they're literally anime properties of actual tokusatsu shows.
They're their own stories.
That's fair, but I'm just saying it's not the same thing where this is just an anime that is essentially a parody of Toku, almost.
We'll get there.
Oh, I like that. This is going to be fun. All right. Samurai Flamenco.
Samurai Flamenco. Would we like to start where we always start with the opening?
There are two of them.
I hated the first one. I can tell you that right now.
Honestly, I didn't like either one.
I wasn't a big fan of the first one. I like the second one a lot more because it's a lot more exciting.
I liked the second one more than the first one because it wasn't the first one. Just because...
I didn't particularly care for the song and the actual opening itself. I just found to be kind of lazy.
Yeah.
Where it's just like a picture of this character.
A
Here's
picture.
them in suit. A picture of this character. Here's them in suit.
There's this dream sequence.
Yeah.
And then they switched to the second one with the Flamenders.
Also valid.
Yeah. This is a show all about Hazama.
Masayoshi Azuma.
Yes. He is
Male
a
model and aspiring superhero.
Yes.
How do we want to do this, Marcus? Do we want to go episode by episode? Do we
Well,
want
they're
do we
sort of-
want to do it characters?
There's sort of arcs here. So I think we should start at the beginning and do like just that
The
section.
first 12 episodes or so, or the first 8 episodes?
Yeah, then there's the second section with the Flamenders, and there's the third section.
Oh,
where
wait.
it's Ultraman.
Well, we don't open with our titular character. We open on Goto,
Yes, our
Who's a-
policeman.
who is a policeman. He's coming home after getting some groceries. Here's somebody
Smoking
in
a cigarette.
smoking a cigarette, just trying, he's off for the night. He's trying to go home.
Trying to relax.
And who does he run into?
Naked man in an alley.
Naked man in an alley.
Who says, this looks weird, but it's not.
I'm not a weirdo.
I promise you, this isn't what it looks like.
Plot twist it was.
It was exactly what it looked like.
But just not the perverted form. His outfit got destroyed.
Yes.
That's where he meets Mr. Masayoshi. We're in more or less the writer portion of this show.
I don't think it's the rider portion.
It is the writer portion.
No.
Why not? Why do you not think it's the
No,
right
this
one?
is the kick-ass portion of the show.
That's also fair.
This is not Kamen Rider. This is not Kamen Rider. This is kick-ass.
the truth of that statement shocks
This
me
is
so much.
This
Wrong
is
mic.
a dude made his own costume and went out to go fight crime.
But
There is no science fiction or this is very, very grounded in the real world when it starts out.
When it starts out, that is correct.
although
He's just a dude.
they explicitly mentioned in episode
How
2.
did I not think of that?
It's fair. They explicitly mentioned in episode 2 that they talk about Kamen Rider in episode 2. This is the writer portion of
Well,
the
they
show.
kind of talk about Kamen Rider.
No, I mean,
they talk-
He's mentioned by name.
They all well, the ones they really talk about are like we couldn't actually license Kamen Rider, so we're going to create a bunch of our own heroes.
which is great.
Which some of them are creative.
And by the
The
way,
one- the-
if
like
Kamen
the
Rider
first-
is wearing a helmet when he's in suit.
The first one in question is Harakiri Sunshine.
I love Harakiri Sunshine.
Who is not only voiced by Sword from Garo.
Oh,
It's Tomokazu Seiki, but also that's the ninja Kamen Rider we never got.
Can we also?
And I really like that
Can we
design.
talk about how his powers are activated by what looks like he's committing seppuku?
Well, yeah, it's Harakiri Sunshine.
I know. It's just
That's the whole point.
I guess that's the whole point, but that's a kids show. It's supposed to be. That's a bitch.
So is Fist of the North Star.
Yeah, fucking valid.
It was marketed to 10-year-olds.
I love at the beginning
I'll be quiet now.
how their relationship is really built. Masayoshi.
I know it's very natural. I did enjoy that.
The way it is built, and because Masayoshi is a man who is completely wrapped up in his own ideals.
Yeah.
And
to the point of naivete and holy shit annoyance.
And Goto is just, he's like tagging along almost for the sake of making sure Masayoshi doesn't hurt himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in the beginning of the show, and that was something I really liked.
First of all, also, those were not middle schoolers.
Middle school lasts longer in Japan as well.
Yeah. They last into the late teens because they look like they were 20.
Well, that's true, but also...
Welcome to anime. You can't tell the age of anybody.
Well, but also, middle school lasts... I think high school is 3 years and middle school is longer.
Yeah. And, he and Goto just... They're at his place just eating curry and watching old...
Eating instant curry. He's got a whole room dedicated to his...
kind of reminded me of...
dedicated to his action figures.
Big Hero 6 scene. I know this was...
Oh, yeah, where they go to Fred's place and he's just got that whole hero room.
Mi casa, su casa. That's French for front door.
Spanish for front door.
No, he says
Does
French.
Does he say French? Yeah.
Because if he was saying Spanish, that'd actually be correct.
That's right.
It had to be as incorrect as possible. That's French for front door.
It's a good movie.
Very good movie.
Yeah. Goto is sort of his
So the first couple of episodes, it's just Goto adjusting to having Masayoshi in his life now.
Also, can we acknowledge episode, I think it's 2 or 3, where the fake Samurai Flamenco shows up? Can we just acknowledge that's Kenji Oba? That is the Kenji Oba.
Oh, it's totally Kenji Oba.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
He's got the same hair, the same sideburns.
The same muscles.
Yeah.
He does take a little bit to come up because
he's not as small. I mean, Kenji Oba's not that big of a guy. But
no, but if you put Kenji Oba in anime,
it's his personality personified. If he were much more of a goofball.
He also just a little bit. Goto's not Goto. Masayoshi's career is sort of taking off because he starts appearing in
music
variety shows and music videos.
This freaking guy he graduates from high school, just gets noticed by his manager
because you're pretty.
He was walking on the street and she gives him her business card, and then
there's a lot of stories in Japan of that happening.
There are stories in America of that happening. I'm not denying it is,
but some of them also.
But the fact that it happened to this doofus of all people,
he's pretty.
And that's really all he's got going for him because he doesn't have much going on upstairs.
No. Yeah, he's a little justice-minded, and that's...
It seems like he never grew up. Like, he never grew up past the age of 7.
Yeah, but he also got remember, he had, no friends.
Because of how he acted.
Pretty much, thanks to his grandfather.
But at the same time, especially in the early parts of the show, I think it really works. And it's because the actor plays him with such an earnestness.
Yeah.
Like, he comes across as he doesn't come across as, childish. He comes across as more childlike and innocent.
Naive. Yeah.
Not naive, but, in a very childlike sense as opposed to a childish sense.
And a little about, he's going around to Samurai Flamenco. I think
he's going around to Samurai Flamenco, and, the very first thing we see that he did was he got beat up by a drunk businessman. Who punched him once, and then that was it. And then he got beat up by middle schoolers, but...
That one got filmed.
Yeah, that one got filmed, and that's how everyone starts to learn who Samurai Flamenco is.
But he
doesn't go viral until the umbrella scene. Return to the umbrella!
But then he ends up...
But someone stole my umbrella. That doesn't make it okay!
He ends up going and being in a music video for Mineral Miracle Muse.
MMM.
Yes, MMM. And one of the girls recognizes something that he says. Because
he's never acted in anything before.
No.
Mm-hmm.
He's only been a model up to this point. So he's like, well, what would I know. Red Axe, one of the heroes I idolized as a kid, he would do this. So he starts singing the song to psych himself up, which I actually thought was a pretty nice touch.
Yeah.
That's a nice thing to include. And then eventually, but then as he goes along, he moves from singing it in his head, he starts singing it out loud, and Mari, I believe, who was the lead girl, or the front woman of the band, I should say. She recognizes what it is that he's singing.
Yeah. And then Samurai Flamenco's getting beat up again.
Yep.
But this time, Flamenco Girls shows up.
Flamenco Girls shows up to save the day, and my oh my, who could this be?
It's Mari.
And she likes to kick people in the balls.
It
and
works.
Tase them and hit them with a spike mace.
Here's something I really liked about Mari. and it's the way they animate her fighting. It is...
Oh, yeah.
The way she is animated, it's very... Like, usually when you're animating a fight scene, you want there to be good fluidity in it.
Yeah.
Her animations are very chunky, and it makes her movements look very amateurish.
Yeah.
And the sound effects of her like hitting and tasing people, there's just something about them that just feels painful.
It feels pretty visceral.
And it's like, this is truly just a person hitting other people with a mace.
Yeah.
And it feels like it hurts. And I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Mari as a character is a different story.
Oh, God.
She does end up getting joined later by her other two bandmates.
By Moe and Mizuki.
Yes.
Mizuki, who is voiced by Mao.
Mao.
That's Gokai Yellow.
And Moe, who is in love with Mari.
Yeah.
This show just goes everywhere, and I love it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say
10 out
that.
of 10.
I wouldn't say that. But
The show is insane. I remember when originally watching this show. What was it, episode 7?
you'll have to be more specific.
Gorilla.
I think that's later.
It's either episode 7 or 13.
I don't remember.
I don't think it's that late. I want to say
I'm pretty sure it's
might-
episode 7.
Maybe, but
Because that's when we actually get like an evil organization.
because well, by this point we have Samurai Flamenco and we have the Flamenco Girls.
After Mari originally blackmailed him, and then he just stood up to her, and she was like, "Alright, fine, whatever. We'll work together, I guess."
Yeah, but well, kind of. Let's just do our own thing. Is pretty much what happens. But Samurai Flamenco is called in by the police to do a raid.
Yeah, he's more there as like a mascot.
He's there as the mascot, but he's also there to help. He's helping the police do this like raid on a criminal compound, and one of the criminals turns into a gorilla with a guillotine in the middle of his stomach, who then decapitates one of the police officers and kills 2 or 3 more by throwing them out the window because they're up on like the 3rd story.
I remember when that happened. Because I didn't watch this with you at the beginning.
No, I don't think you did. Yeah.
I watched like the first 2 episodes, and then you did your thing of not waiting for Mountain to go fucking watch it, whatever the second comes out.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember watching that at home. Luckily, it was slow at work. And luckily, Sam was not on a call with anybody because I just went, "Holy shit!"
I remember when this.
It was like Red Wedding level of we went from 0 to infinity.
When this episode first came out.
Well, at this point, this show has been completely grounded in reality. There have been no hints of any kind of science fiction elements.
Yeah.
And then this happens, and it's not just that the real world has been invaded by the fantastical, but they do it in like the most violent way that this show would allow.
Yeah.
Decapitating someone, killing 2 more, and then Goto and Flamenco barely
By the way,
defeating him by the skin of their teeth.
one bad anime has ruined decapitations for me forever.
What's that?
I don't. She didn't
Mars
make.
Destruction?
Oh, Mars of Destruction.
She didn't make it. Yeah, no shit.
Her head's missing.
Yeah, it's like after because it did get a little bit fantastic.
Well, to
where,
be fair, that wasn't a decapitation. Her head just exploded.
a big sum of money was offered,
which may be worse.
to figure out who Samurai Flamenco was by Akira Kono,
Who is a journalist.
Yeah, it's like a big sum of money. So they had like a whole town chasing him and everything.
That happens earlier on.
Yeah, and then we end up getting to this point. I remember when this episode first happened, and the internet just went insane after a little bit because of this episode. I was like, "What?"
I can imagine you did.
I loved watching the show while it was airing because it got crazy. Like during this episode, it just got crazy, and it was so fun to see the internet react to it because it came so far left that no one expected it, and I loved it.
I didn't expect it. That's true.
But it's also a little.
No, I'm gonna say they never match it again,
Oh no, they don't.
No, they really don't.
and that's a letdown.
They did it to show the shift, and then like the big bad.
They even bring it up later in later episodes. It's like, aside from those 3 police officers, absolutely no one has died from the other monsters.
Yeah, because like he gets that whole stationary thing from his.
I want to talk about that for a little bit.
Okay.
His weapons are all like industrial stationary that are manufactured by this one guy.
So it's technically legal.
Yeah. And it's like stapler nunchucks and measuring tape that he uses as a grappling hook. And I really like that idea.
Yeah, that's kind of fun.
It's silly, but it still feels like grounded. It still feels like this could feasibly happen.
Also, the staplers should have been blasters. Hole punchers could have been nunchucks. Can you just imagine taking staplers and just going...
I mean, maybe dual functions, but the way we first see him use the stapler nunchucks, when he uses them to staple some thugs to the ground and like staple them together, that was a cool bit.
And then he ends up meeting Kaname Joji,
much earlier on, but because Kaname Joji pretends that he is Samurai Flamenco, and then turns out he had to like that.
Which anybody who believed that's a fucking moron.
Because they look nothing alike. You can see like.
Plus, the dude's just tall.
He's much taller.
And much, a
much different body shape, much tanner.
But...
Also, mask versus no mask.
Masayoshi...
Also, he's 4'5". He's 7'12". And
that would just make him 8 feet.
I know, that's the joke.
But yeah, Kaname Joji is becoming like sort of a mentor to Hazama, but he's like never there.
There are a couple of moments where it's like, I'd love to help you, but I have booked a festival in France. I can't do this.
I would love to be there.
But I believe in you.
I would love to be there, but I'm in Indonesia for a conference.
Or I'm in Kenya helping children's relief. It's like, pretty much almost all the countries are battle fever countries, except for Indonesia, but they're all battle fever countries. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. I see what you did there.
Yeah, that was just funny. And then it just goes left. We end up having King Torture.
We have King Torture and his, army of minions.
And of course, Goto's there the entire time, is along for the ride. But...
Well, eventually, Mari gets called out.
Yeah.
And
well, she did it to herself.
She does it to herself, but at the same time, she gets called out, and she accepts a challenge invitation of sorts and winds up getting captured and tortured.
From King Torture. With Flamenco Sapphire.
Moe.
Oh my god, that scene where she's
That was a great scene.
That was so good.
Because it really brought to light just how garbage of a person Mari really is.
She was trash.
She's a garbage human being.
She couldn't learn.
And that's one of the things, and it shows how terrible she is, but also Moe is too pure for this sinful world.
She really is.
The fact, it's like, the way King Torture is constantly just like every sentence he's calling her out, it's like, no, she will sacrifice herself for you. You're just telling her to run because you think it'll make you look cool.
Which, I mean, kind of the journalist didn't help anything because he's sort
of... Well, he
was
the one who set Mari up.
Yeah.
Because he gets captured and they torture him for a while.
And it doesn't work.
Well, he thinks Kono in a nice little scene, like he thinks he has the leg up on him because he calls Ishihara, Masayoshi's manager, and he like confesses his love to her. And he's like, good, now I can die with no regrets. And King Torture's like, oh, but can you? You see, if we kill you, yeah, people will be sad for a couple days, but then you'll be forgotten forever. And I know that's not going to sit well with you. So, if you hand Mari over to us, if you set her up, then we will let you go, and then your legacy can continue. Because I know that's what you really care about, and I like that. But then eventually, because King Torture has this ultimate plan to launch missiles.
Yeah.
And destroy, everyone with them. But, Goto and Flamenco show up. They save the day in a pretty spectacular fashion. Goto was pretty amazing driving the Hummer to knock the missile out of fashion before it can launch. With like 1 second on the countdown. That was pretty cool.
While Flamenco and King Torture are out there having their fun.
They're out there fighting, and then at the end,
Masayoshi comes clean and says that he's Samurai Flamenco.
He demasks in front of the press of Japan and announces himself as Samurai Flamenco, so everyone knows who he is now.
Yep.
And after this, the show completely lost me.
This is when the Flamenders happened.
This is when the show lost all of its cleverness.
Yeah.
This second half of the show is really, really bad.
I actually think it's just this portion. The last portion is better.
I disagree.
Because the Flamenders, it went from
this show,
a Rider to a Sentai to an Ultraman last. And
that's not a fair comparison.
No, that's
what I don't think that's a fair comparison.
I'm not making a comparison. That's what the show presented as itself that it wanted to.
I don't agree.
Because it goes from that to that to that. And it goes the Sentai second. The Flamenders portion isn't handled well.
It's not good. It's
From Beyond is now
okay.
the villain.
Here I think is the best way I might be able to sum this up. This show ends about 8 different times. It'll because we have the King Torture finale, and that's okay, that's the end of our first big arc. All right.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna do next? And then we have the Flamenders for 2 or 3 episodes, but then that ends and something else happens. And then we're doing this for 6 and then we do something, and then we do something else for more episodes. Then that ends. Then something else happens. Then that ends. And then another arc happens.
No.
That's what happens, Marcus.
It's just the Flamenders.
No,
hold on. And then there's the last portion, which is the last 4 or 5 episodes. And then the very last thing is the reset.
I disagree. That's not how it happened with me.
But that's how it happened in the show.
No, that isn't how it happened in the show.
How did it happen to you?
I just told you.
But that's what happens.
No.
It's Flamenders second.
It's more than... My experience with it was that it was more than that. It was...
How is it more, though?
Because there were 4 different climaxes, one after the other after the other. It keeps ending and then building up and then ending and then building up.
Oh yeah, it does.
And it becomes really hard to get invested because all the new characters.
There's not enough time to get invested.
Yeah, it's the Flamenders portion is up until about episode 19, and then the last 3 episodes.
It's shorter than that though, because
it's episode 18 is that big final battle with From Beyond and that whole situation where all the other
yes,
which is a great scene. By the way. The Changemen are in this. And it's hilarious because there's the actual sign for yin. Uh-huh. I was just that's hilarious. Harakiri Sunshine is here. All the heroes are here to help with From Beyond and all of that. And then we go to the last part which is weirdly Nexus.
If you say so.
Oh, actually, you have a point, but it's sort of weirdly mixed up between the two, the Ultraman portion. Where it's the Justice guy who's from America.
Mr. Justice.
But he's an alien.
But he's actually an alien. And then
after they defeat the Prime Minister.
After they defeat the Prime Minister, because the Prime Minister turned against them because if I get enough support, I'll be strong enough to defeat the alien. Oops, you didn't work. But then Samurai Flamenco beats him anyway by punching him into space.
He turns into Ultraman by growing very large.
He grows very large using the will of the people that the alien wanted to use to completely undo reality and remake it into a peaceful one.
Yeah.
And then...
By the way, just by going by the episode titles, I'm agreeing with Jacob. Because you have Episode 10, Final Battle at the Enemy Base. Episode 12, Document, We Are the Flamenders. Episode 13, Night Before the Decisive Battle. 14, The Destruction of Japan. 17, Ultimate Prime Minister. 18, Flamenco in Space.
It just keeps...
There's just from episode title alone, there's 6 endings.
But granted, in episode 18, or I think it's 18, whenever he meets with the will of the universe, they give an in-show explanation as to why everything has been escalating the way it is.
Yeah, because all of that is building up on itself. We go from the Flamenders to the Prime Minister to Ultraman time.
Yeah, yes, but it's not so much what happens as it is the justification for why.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that in college and thinking it was actually really cool. And rewatching it, having the rest of the show behind me and looking at where we are to where we got, it's okay, but it's not great. Because their explanation is the will of the universe, the word flamenco, in another universe is pronounced Flamenco. And every time you say it, it has a 0.0000002% chance of granting a wish. And so the will of the universe heard that, granted his wish, and that's the reason why we got the, King Torture in his empire, the reason why that then escalated to From Beyond, and that escalated to the Prime Minister, and that escalated to the aliens. And what happens after that it's all because, every time it ended, he secretly wanted more.
Yeah.
Internally, Masayoshi didn't want it to be over, so now he's an enemy of the state and he has to go fight the prime minister, or now aliens show up and he's just
going to be like the president of the world.
And then he's going to become president of the world. Well, that's after everything gets reset.
And then it doesn't end there.
But then it's so what happens if I say no? It's well, if you choose to end your adventure here, then it will be recycled as fiction for another universe. And it's
which I like that scene, really.
I like that scene, but it's oh, that explains every piece of fiction I've ever read.
Yeah, exactly. It
was all true in another universe.
Which sort of made me love that, because
it's a conspiracy.
I love that scene of him with King Torchic inside the library. And putting the all back, and he turns into his manager.
Yeah,
and I'm sitting here I love how that happened,
because the will of the universe is taking the forms of people that he recognizes and respects.
His grandfather's one of them.
But it's actually his grandfather. The will of the universe brings back his grandfather's spirit so he could actually talk to him, which I thought was wasn't a bad scene.
12's final scene in Doctor Who.
A little bit.
Yeah. But yeah. Just
again, the show feels like it should end there, but then it keeps going for another 3 episodes.
It really should end there.
Especially since it's already ended 3 or 4 times.
Because they did explain... I wasn't sure how I felt about this, and I wanted to ask you too.
What's up?
Because the final arc, the villain isn't the worst, although it's weird.
It's one of the middle schoolers.
Here's the problem. I was already so checked out by this point with this show.
This is the port where it's just
the port?
Yeah, that too. Where it got confusing, and this is where it started to feel sort of Nexus-ish to me, because it got super psychological for some reason.
You're giving the show too much credit.
You really are.
No, that's just a line of comparison.
It insists upon itself.
But then we end up getting the whole thing with Goto's girlfriend, who's been missing forever.
Okay.
I forgot she existed for half the show.
Oh my god, this. First off, I called it.
Oh yeah,
I was right. I was like, I think his girlfriend is dead, and he's just either reading old messages or just having them sent to himself by somebody. And I'll admit, that's actually could have been good. Yeah. That's not a bad idea. No. Unfortunately, it happened in Samurai Flamenco.
It's happened elsewhere.
And the way it got handled was just kind of made me groan. It did not have the emotional weight I feel that it should. They didn't give it the time I feel that it should.
So the reason why that did not ring as well for me is because I've seen that plot twist done better already.
In what, may I ask?
There was an episode of Criminal Minds, one of the early seasons. It was a guest star, Frankie Muniz, where he was having a psychotic break because he was a comic book artist and he was drawing all of these violent, he was drawing this hero murder werewolves in these violent manners, but he's actually drawing what he's done to people, and he's having a psychotic break because these guys killed his girlfriend. And he is listening to her voicemail over and over and over and over. But we hear the voicemail throughout the show, throughout the episode. And but it doesn't, the revelation that she's been dead for over a year is later. So at the time, and I haven't seen this episode in a long time, so I'm explaining it poorly. But I couldn't help but make that comparison. It hit harder with fucking Criminal Minds.
Because with this,
I feel like there it's just you get the whole murder back plot that's happening.
This
one is just
this show really brought to light
so
just
it's
how
sad.
For
the sake of being sad.
I feel like all this did was bring to light how bad everyone in this show is at communicating.
No shit.
What is it, Fies?
Yeah, no.
Not that bad.
Not that
they
bad.
actually talk to each other.
These people actually talk to each other and they actually use their phones. Fies has fucking phones as henching devices and never goes, let me fucking call somebody up. Anyway.
It's everyone just comes across as really, really stubborn and angry. And
that's not 100% inaccurate.
And no one is ever really willing to listen to anyone.
Still not 100% inaccurate with reality.
Well, it's Goto's the weirdest case.
Do I need to show you some text messages about stubborn people?
No, you don't.
Okay.
Goto's weirdly... I can sort of see where he's coming from, but at the same time, he's too obsessive with it, and he won't.
He's very obsessive with it, but it also feels like it feels a little out of character for him. This doesn't feel like something the Goto that we have known up to this point would do.
Well, to be fair, when people end up getting into like psychosis like this,
I mean, not everyone. You're right, but it just feels.
That's why it sort of came
because it happens so late and they dwell on it for so little.
It's only like the last episode and a half.
Yeah.
And it's more... I love the fact that, once again, Mari's not forgotten, even though we got all these other people.
Yeah.
Mari's not forgotten. The rest of MMM isn't forgotten. She and Moe end up getting together after she goes and lives with Goto for a little bit.
Because she blackmails him. She's like, I'll kill myself if you tell anyone where I am.
Yeah, it's after the whole King Torture thing, because she's sort of...
But honestly, okay, but if I can talk about that for a sec, the scene where the other two members go to Goto's apartment and they try to bring her back, but they get in a big fight and they run away, or she runs away and she goes back to King Torture's hideout.
Yeah.
And that scene where she just breaks and starts throwing up, and then the two of them show up, and then like Moe has like a bag over her head because she knows Mari doesn't want to see her face.
I love Moe in this show so much.
Moe I liked.
She is
far too pure for this sinful world.
She's far too pure for Mari.
No kidding. But then they kind of ruin it at the end. It's like a great dramatic scene, and then they ruin it with like a weird fan service moment.
I don't even call it fan service because it's what Moe wanted this entire time.
It is, but just there's a time and a place this wasn't it.
It's character service.
There's a time and a place this wasn't it.
Fair.
And then we get to the actual end of the show with Goto getting kidnapped, all the
by the kid, and then
all the messages getting deleted, including the last one that he had with his girlfriend when she was still, I guess, alive.
Before she went missing.
Masayoshi shows up, strips naked. Shows them
the episode is called Samurai Flamenco Naked.
Because you're not going to fight me as Samurai Flamenco because that's what you want. I'm just going to show you who I am. And then he proposes to Goto.
He proposes to Goto, marry me because I want to give you the life that you couldn't have with your girlfriend.
Goto doesn't reject him.
Which
I
actually think that's really sweet.
At least
I actually think that is really sweet.
At least a whole
that's
match.
That's kind of their relationship as a whole. And
it started.
And as you like to say, Marcus, it's canon.
Yeah.
Because in a digital card game later,
bam,
there's the marriage ceremony.
Yeah, they got married.
It actually happened.
It's canon to the show. That's why we're doing this here in private.
For anybody who was confused, they gay.
You know, I want to see like a spin-off of what their married life is like.
Oh, seriously.
There's a manga.
There is a manga.
Yeah, there's a manga that's translated that shows afterwards.
I feel like I'm just imagining Masayoshi just trying as hard as he can to be like the best wife that he can be.
Oh no, it's still them.
It's still them?
Yeah, they're just doing as they were, but they're actually together now.
It's like, all right, dear, you have a good shift. I'm going to go stop another alien invasion.
Gonna go bust
some heads.
Yeah.
Samurai Flamenco.
He comes home from the office. They give each other a quick kiss. He goes out to fight crime. I could work. Yeah, why not?
The sad thing is, because you use pronouns, that sentence can apply to either of them.
Yeah, why not?
I just think that's funny.
Normalize pronouns.
no,
because he's a cop. Fight crime.
I know.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying.
He could have the late shift one morning. He could have a modeling job in the evening.
That took Marcus a second.
Yeah,
switch it up. Why not?
I think that's what maybe
kinky.
They're your double income gay aunts. They're gonna ruin Christmas.
And Mario and Moe are just out there
doing something.
Music is just like, well, suffering.
I realize that last sentence probably didn't make a whole lot of sense. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just the two of them, and that's what made me like just really appreciate this show a lot more, because this is really like where the BL isn't the main focus; it's the background that happens later.
The way it happens actually feels earned.
Yeah, it feels completely
even though the way
it wasn't forced.
The way we got there I wasn't a fan of.
It was
but
weird.
Again, it's because of Masayoshi as a character that I think it works the best. Because of him and his dynamic that he has with Goto.
And it was absolutely something he would do.
And again, it's like the way the character was written and acted, he feels so earnest. He feels so like naive and like he really wants to help. He really wants to do the right thing, and in his mind, marrying him is a way that I can make him happy. And I'd go for it.
The reason why this worked as a romance for me is because we could have had this entire show with Goto being female, and it would change nothing. That's how you know it's much more of a natural relationship, because it didn't matter the gender. It really didn't. Whereas typically with anime and
romance,
and specifically
romantic subplots in general.
No. Specifically, I was talking about gay romance. It's a lot less natural. In some cases, can be more on the fetish side.
Well, there's a reason for that, because there isn't a lot.
There's plenty of fetish material everywhere else in this show.
I understand that, but it just...
I think it's because your base is a lot shorter.
That's fair.
I've read a lot.
That is also fair.
Yeah.
I'm talking about mainstream anime that are...
Well, I mean, there isn't really as much. It's like you got Given.
Yuri on Ice.
I'm
sorry, Yuri on Ice is a little... I'm not saying it's fetishized,
Still waiting on the movie.
I know. I'm not saying Yuri on Ice is fetishized. I'm saying that it's a lot more in your face.
Oh, yeah, obviously. They got married halfway through the show. We still have more to go. This happens at the end. But, yeah, it's just like, here...
They were on a fucking time constraint. Let's go. Walk down the aisle, bitch. Let's go. The sale starts in 2 hours.
It is 22 episodes.
Yeah, it's like, here it's just, a natural progression. Which
it really felt...
One of the things about the show that worked. In the latter half.
In the latter half. Specify that.
I do.
Also, you want to talk about forced relationships? We need to talk about our favorite Tales game.
I'm sad about that. Trash.
Tales of Graces, if anyone's wondering. I've never seen so much forced heterosexuality in my life.
True. But yeah, back to this. I liked this show, although that last portion was just like, wow, this guy.
That last half.
Everything after King Torture is sort of just...
It goes downhill very quickly.
Although I did, and this is just something with me, I love the scene where all the heroes showed up to fight from me.
That's fair.
You only see him for about 2 seconds, but it's like, you can look at them and be like, oh, that's a Kamen Rider parody, but it's a panda. Oh, there's Sailor Moon, but she's a Sukeban. Okay, that's kind of cool.
There's the five men, but this time they all have musical instruments.
Can we please have the panda Kamen Rider in real life? I would love to watch that.
Somebody has a form.
Yeah, I know.
Panda Rocket.
I know, but I want a
full-on panda with a little bamboo twig in his mouth.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. We have Jujutsu Kaisen. Never mind. We're good. There's a whole fucking panda. He talks and he kicks ass.
And then there's the Changeman with the actual symbol for change on their forehead. Same suits and everything. Just have a giant.
I'm surprised the Chinaman didn't show up.
I loved it. I love scenes like that, so it got to me immediately. I was like, I don't care about the rest of the show. This is great. But yeah, I like this show.
It was okay.
I think the first half is really strong. Well, not really strong, but it's good.
It's
a lot of fun.
The second half they immediately get rid of all their cleverness and they just kind of go through them. It just feels like they're going through the
Which
motions.
actually sort of makes sense in the way that the show presents itself.
And
here's the reason why I say that. Because what does Masayoshi know?
I know, but that doesn't make it okay from a storytelling perspective.
But it makes sense from a character.
It may, but it doesn't work.
I think it does.
You could have done it better.
That's what Masayoshi knows. I think the biggest issue is the fact that we don't know who the Flamenders are, and they're here for the rest of the show, but they rarely ever show up.
To quote Yahtzee Croshaw, there is a difference between subversive self-parody and doing exactly the same thing as you always do, but sarcastically rolling your eyes at it. That's what the second half of the show felt like. It's like, oh, hey, this happens in Sentai, this happens in Kamen Rider, this happens in this show, let's just do it, except we're going to do it in cartoon form now, and occasionally you actually see civilians die, and that's the extent of their creativity.
And then we get to the end, and I think the ending is...
That's another thing I need to bring up. I'm sorry, I have to bring this up. The animation is wildly inconsistent.
You know what I noticed I hate more than anything in this show?
What's that?
Side mouths.
You have a problem with mouths in general, apparently.
Yeah, but it's like when the lips are here, but the mouth is here.
Yeah.
And they're talking like out of the side of their face.
Literally out of the corner of their mouth.
Yeah. Not even the corner, because the whole circle's here.
I know.
I hate that.
But some scenes look really good. And there are so many scenes throughout the show where you can tell where the corners are cut. where there are like just mid-range shots of characters where the lines are all like crooked and ugly. And
my
the
friend,
motion really lacks a lot of fluidity. It can be really chunky and awful to look at.
This happens quite a lot in some animation studios. I don't even think Gainax exists anymore. You weren't around for Dramatical Murder. Oh boy. But yeah, this is the thing that does happen.
I've seen some bad stuff, believe me.
No, Dramatical Murder, they had one episode that they aired like the beta version of the art. Mm-hmm. They aired that. They didn't air the completed one. Yes, that's when I gave up on the show. I understand. And I haven't played that game. But yeah, I honestly would recommend Samurai Flamenco just because of parity's sake and just because it's Pride Month. That ending is well earned. Their relationship is well done. So, I feel like it's more worth it just for those two more than anything else. And the beginning and the very end of it. Especially when Mari comes in after the other two Flamenco girls have been poisoned. And Mari shows up after the kid gets like the gun taken away from him and beats the shit out of him because he deserved it.
Yeah, he did.
I like Mari. She got better. Yeah, just like Masayoshi got better. And Gozo was just... That whole girlfriend thing was still very weird. It's not well done.
I don't know that it was weird, but it was poorly handled.
Yeah, very poorly handled.
But yeah.
I don't know that I'd recommend this one, but it's definitely got its highlights.
Yeah.
Hold on.
So,
just a second.
What exactly are you looking up?
Well, okay. So, for episode 116, we're going back to the Chosation series.
I saw what you were Googling, and I instantly just...
got sad.
I don't want to.
We're doing Justerizers next. That'll be our last one. Then after that, we're doing Ryu Soldier after that.
Oh, no.
We're actually going back to Sentai. It's been quite a few months. And join us next weekend.
What the heck was the last Sentai we did?
Lubat.
God, that was a while ago.
It was a while ago.
It was a good show, too.
It was very good.
I don't want to watch Ryu Soldier.
But yeah. Justerizers will be next. And don't forget to join us next week for a charity stream with the Trevor Project.
Yes.
We're playing golf.
For those who don't know what the Trevor Project is, Matt, would you care to explain?
The Trevor Project is a nonprofit organization from what I've heard and seen that primarily served first as a anxiety, suicide hotline for LGBTQ folks and everything like that. They've done a lot of work with the Try Guys, specifically Eugene, and just this is kind of like with Suicide Prevention Month, our stream was his baby. This is mine. So I'm very excited to finally be giving to that community that's done a lot for the LGBTQ+.
LGBTQ+ youth in particular.
Yes.
Is what they specialize in.
Because God knows the fucking country doesn't enough. Anyway.
Mental health is important to everyone. Everybody needs it.
Yeah, and you don't have to necessarily be LGBTQ+ to use their services.
But every super chat donation that we receive for that stream is going to be donated to that. So
please join us.
Just heads up.
Next Saturday, I believe. That would be the 26th? Yes, the 26th. At most likely around 11 a.m. Eastern Standard when we typically stream. Looks like we're going to be playing the new Mario Golf game.
Yep, it comes out next Friday. So I was like, you know what, let's play it. It looks fun.
But as always, thank you guys so much. Follow us on all the things, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for watching.